What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel and to episode 2 of Let's Play Dark Fort with Page Mythic. Dark Fort is a solo micro RPG that takes place in the Dying World campaign setting, which is more commonly associated with the RPG Mörk Borg. You can find this micro RPG Dark Fort in a fanzine for Mörk Borg. And I will link that in the description, how you can get Dark Fort. And we are spicing things up with an Oracle. This is the Page Mythic Game Master Emulator. You may be aware that there is a larger product known as the Mythic Game Master Emulator, and it is incredible. It's a tool that allows you to play any role-playing game solo. And this is a one-page variant that has been kind of distilled and compressed down into the core mechanics, the spirit of Mythic in one page. With this one page, you can play any role-playing game solo, and that is pretty exciting. Now, when we last left off, Kargunt had descended into his first catacomb. Kargunt is the Catacomb Rogue. He is delving into this catacomb in search of wealth. It's a difficult world to live in, and so Kargunt is a grave robber. He survived a confrontation with a cultist with a dagger in this kind of hexagonal room. He found a cloak of invisibility, and we used that to sneak by a Medusa in this corridor, and now we entered this large square-like room. We found a soothsayer. I'll make a note of that. And we lost the soothsayer's riddle. We took mental damage. The soothsayer also just kind of like, gave us an unarmed blow to the gut as he fled the catacomb, leaving Kargunt at 11 health out of 15. Kind of rattled, but he's okay. He's alive. He still has 11 health left. Now, if you'll remember from the last episode, I mentioned that we had rolled a random event and that we would resolve that at the beginning of this episode. I actually realized when I went back and watched my footage back from the first session that the doubles that I rolled was on the action meaning table. And I just want to point out that when you roll on the discover meaning tables, either the action table or the description table, doubles does not generate a random event. A random event is specifically generated when you roll a double using the fate chart or the ask the game master chart. So there is no random event for us to interpret. However, this is a third room for Kargunt to have explored successfully. So I will increment his rooms explored to 3. We're sitting at level 1. We have 7 points earned and 3 rooms explored. And just to circle back, we are trying to survive 12 rooms. We're trying to earn at least 15 points to level up. Alright, so this means that we can effectively move on and generate a new room to kick off the session in earnest. So I'm going to say that I want to keep exploring to the west. We have this western door, or I'm going to say from your perspective, eastern door. The first thing I'm going to do when I'm playing Dark Fort, entering a new room, is roll for a room shape. So I've got some dice in the way. A 2 and a 2 makes a 4. So this is going to be a cross-shaped room. Very interesting. And then let's go ahead and roll a d4 for the number of doors in this new room. We get a 4, so there will be 2 new doors. Okay, so I'm going to draw this kind of cross-shaped room. Like so. And I think, let's see, to make this easier to explore, I think I will have the doors be located to the north and the south. So we'll close off this eastern passage, and I'll just indicate that we have a door to the south and a doorway to the north. Now, what is in this room? And actually, before we even get to that, I'm going to ask some discover meaning questions. So what is... As we walk past the room with the soothsayer, which was really simple so far, the room with the cultist was dark and barren. The corridor was explicitly barren and damaged. The walls looked damaged. The room with the soothsayer, once again, simple, I remember the soothsayer was working on something. I'm not exactly sure what, but there wasn't much going on in the room. Is this similar? I'm just going to ask let's ask the game master. Is this room mostly barren, like the rooms that we've already explored? I'm going to say that it's likely that this room is mostly barren. Okay, and we get an 88. 88. So now this was a roll on the Ask the Game Master table. So two things. First off, on likely, with likely odds, an 88 is a no. So this room is not barren. There's something interesting in the room. Now, we also generated a random event for rolling doubles. Now, how this works is when you roll a double, you discover meaning. We're going to roll on the action meaning table, and then we're going to interpret the results in the context of our adventure. Okay, so before generating with Dark Fort, before we generate what actually is in the room on the room table, let's go ahead and see what this random event is all about. So it looks like we're getting our random event anyway, which is it's cool, it's exciting. Okay, so first roll on the action table is a 53. This gives us goals. Now this is interesting. So goals. So Kargunt's goal, I think, is to gain wealth. I think his goal is to find money and support himself. I think that's why he's taken on this life. Now, I don't explicitly know that. So why don't we ask the game master if that really is his goal? I'm going to say it's nearly certain that Kargunt's motivation for entering this catacomb and risking his life is to find items of value, to become wealthy, so that he can live a decent life back in on the surface of the dying world. Okay, so I'm going to say this is nearly certain. So we need to roll under an 85 for this to be a yes, and we get a 19. So that actually is a yes. Okay, so Kargunt is motivated by gold. So that is what I say his goals would be. So we could interpret this as he comes across silver. Why don't we ask the game master? Does Kargunt come across some kind of stash of silver? We'll say in interpreting this event, we'll make this likely. Okay, so this is a 69. That is a no. He does not come across. Like some kind of treasure chest. We're in this cross-like room. Why don't we describe the room? Let's get. We gotta know there is something interesting in the room. Let's go ahead and ask. What does this room look like? Let's get a word and see if this helps us out at all. 29. 29 is feeble. This room is feeble. I interpret this as this room is also falling apart, much like the corridor. The room is. It's damaged. This place really just looks like it could collapse almost at any moment. It almost is making Kargunt nervous to be here. Okay, feeble. Let's get another word and see if we can extract anything else from the 71. That is peaceful. This room is feeble and peaceful as he enters, but there's something interesting in the room that has to do with his goals. Okay, so at this point I'm going to say that this could indeed be it could be a similar situation to the first room. It's just kind of jogging my memory in that sense. The room could be dark and seem like nothing is wrong. There could indeed be a monster here that is ready to jump out. That monster could be could have, perhaps loot on his person. We also could say that part of our goal in the game is to gain points. A monster would be worth points. Why don't we leave it up to the roll on the Dark Fort room table to give us even more information about what this random event is. Okay, so we rolled a 1. There's nothing in this room. The room is now explored. However, we do know that there is indeed something related to a goal in this room. Okay, what if this room, what if this random event introduces a new goal to Kargunt? He descended into the catacomb only looking for wealth, and so far he's discovered that there are these kind of awful creatures and people living in this catacomb with the goblins. Remember that there's a large stone door at the entrance with goblins engraved on the door. Okay, so why don't we ask some more questions? So we know that this random event has to do with a goal. Let's say that this is going to introduce a new quest to Kargunt. Now we could roll for action words to see what he needs to do, or we could roll for description words to try to describe what it is in the room that gives him a goal. And this is an interesting decision. I'm going to... Why don't we roll on the action meaning table specifically for another word in addition to goal to help us understand what the random event is? That actually might be the most clarifying way to go about this. So the first word for the random event was goal. We know that there's not, according to the Dark Fort table roll, there's not a monster in this room, but there is something interesting in the room that's goal-oriented. Okay, here we go. We're rolling for a second word on the action meaning table, and we get 19. Conclude goal. Okay, so this is the conclusion of someone's quest. Is someone in this room dying? Now picture Dark Souls. This is Dark Souls 1, and you're coming across... I can't even remember his name, which is so sad. There's someone who is dying and kind of gives you the quest of the chosen. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. Is there... I'm just going to say that that's what this means. That's kind of exciting. There's someone in the room that is dying. He's at the end of his quest, and he intends to give Kargunt a quest. So let's see. Is it a, I don't know. Is there some kind of warrior type person dying in this room? I have no idea. Let's make it a 50-50. Okay, that is a 21. That is a yes. There is a warrior type individual in the room bleeding out. Is he another... Well, maybe bleeding out. Has he been gashed, gored? Did a monster mortally wound this individual? I'm going to say this is very likely. We get a 68. That is a yes. He has been mortally wounded by a creature in the catacomb. Now, this person's on the ground. He's very visibly not okay. Kargunt is going to... So Kargunt enters the room, the cross-shaped room, and the only interesting thing in this room is this dying man. So Kargunt is going to hurriedly approach him, and I think the first thing that he's going to do is to offer help. And this man is very obviously dying. I think his response is, if he's going to give Kargunt a new quest, his response is probably something along the lines of, no, it's too late for me, but I was here for a reason and I need you to do something for me. Is this guy... I'm going to ask the Game Master, is that this man's response? I'm going to say it's nearly certain, given the rest of the context. That is a 31. So that is a yes. As Kargunt asks the man for help, he's, maybe he's coughing up blood. He's mauled. There's blood everywhere. It's a horrible scene for Kargunt to come across. He says, no, it's too late for me, but I came here to do what? What did he come into the catacombs to do? Let's roll for what he came here to do on the action meaning table. I get an 84. He came here to PC. Okay, the PC is a Catacomb Rogue. He came here to grave rob. Maybe it was something in particular. Now, okay, did he come here specifically because he knew Kargunt was coming here? I'm going to say this is impossible. But just in case, I'm going to roll it. Okay, that's a 15. Wow, that's really low. Wow, that was only only 5 points to the no. That is really interesting. So no, he didn't come here specifically because Kargunt was coming here. However, he did come here, to rob some graves. Is this man aware of something important? Is this man aware of something important in the catacomb that he came here to find that would be useful in the outside world, within the context of the dying world? I'm going to say that is a very likely outcome. Let's go ahead and roll. And we get an 87. That is a no. So he's not here for an item, and he's not here because of Kargunt specifically. So I'm going to say that this man descended into the catacomb to rescue someone personal to him, and now he asks Kargunt, he tells Kargunt that someone is missing. Who is missing? Let's describe the person that is missing. Let's use the description meaning tables. We get a 76. The person is powerful. Okay, so this person is important, that has been captured and brought down into the catacomb. This is quite interesting. Now, who would be powerful? Maybe this man is going after the leader of some kind of village. Is there some equivalent of like a mayor or a council person, or even maybe there's a wizard? Why don't we say that there is some kind of... We'll leave it up to fate. We don't have to decide this ourselves, and actually it's more exciting if we don't, because we're playing this role-playing game solo. So we will ask the game master, or the fate chart. First, I'll ask, is the person that went missing a local leader to a nearby village? I don't know. We'll call it a 50-50. That is a 56. That is a no. So rather, this is a powerful individual because they are some sort of mage or sage type individual. Maybe they serve some kind of support role to the surrounding villages, to the people that live in the countryside, near where this catacomb is. And it's really important to those people that this, maybe it's some kind of maybe it's a person that can heal. Why don't we ask, is this some kind of wizard type individual that can that serves as a healer in a supporting role to the surrounding countryside? Since the last interpretation was a no, I'm going to say that this is very likely. And we roll a 42, which is a yes. Okay, so this man is dying, and with his final breaths, he tells Kargunt to save we'll call him to save the sage. Their towns, the region's sage went missing. They believe he was captured and brought down into this crypt, into this catacomb, and he implores Kargunt to please find the missing sage, rescue him, and bring him back to the town of... I'm just going to roll on the description meaning tables for a name. The first word is frightening, and the second word is mundane. So frightening and mundane. We'll call it Fright Moon. We'll call it the town of Fright Moon. So let's say that we have a thread or a quest. We want to rescue the sage. What is the sage's name? Let's roll on the description meaning table for the name of the sage. 32. Fragrant. 13. Fragrant and colorful. Frelo. Let's say that we have a new thread for Kargunt, or a quest to rescue Frelo, the sage of Fright Moon. Spelling this Frightmun, moon, like in Kerbal Space Program, the moon. All right, rescue Freylo the Sage of Fright Moon. All right, I don't know what'll happen. I don't know if we'll find Freylo or not. But it's a thread, and this man, does he? Oh, okay. So Kargunt needs to respond. I think is Kargunt going to accept this man's quest? I think the man is dying. We want him to die with hope. Kargunt, we said he was a clean or somewhat innocent individual. No one is truly innocent in the dying world, but this man has a clean spirit. I think his response is going to be a yes. So Kargunt says everything that he needs to say to comfort this man in his final moments, and feeling fulfilled in that he has passed on his quest to another individual, this man breathes his last. And Kargunt has to witness this. Now, it seems likely that this man was gored by the Medusa 2 rooms ago. If you'll remember, right, the Medusa was feeding on a warrior type individual in the corridor. I'm going to make a note in the cross room. I'm going to say dying knight. This man's not, may not literally be a knight, some kind of warrior, but it's kind of a reminder for myself. The Dark Souls 1 reference. It's possible that they came in here together to recover the sage, and now they're both dead. It's also possible that there are more. I feel like if this man knew that there was someone else that could help me, he probably would have told me. So I think it's pretty safe to say that these 2 individuals they descended together, and they did not luck out. They just had a bad time in combat against the Medusa. That really is quite awful, but that is everything in this room, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms explored. Dark Fort said that there was nothing in the room. All that we were able to find is a quest. Okay, so now let's move on. We have a path to the north and to the south. Let's say I'm going to say Kargunt puts his invisibility cloak back on. He's fearful for what is to come in the catacomb. He wants his invisibility cloak for protection. And yeah, we're going to move on to the next room to the south with our invisibility cloak on. Man, this has been crazy already. Who knows? Maybe we'll find the sage. Let's go ahead and roll for another room. We've survived 4 rooms, and we still only have 7 points. We want 15 points. Okay, let's roll for a room shape. 2d6, we get an 11. Ooh, this is a triangular room. Triangular, okay. Let's roll a d4 for the number of doors, and we get 3. That is 2 doors in the triangular shaped room. I'm just going to come off at a real angle here. Make it a real nice triangle shape. Okay, and I don't want the dungeon to carry on too much further to the south because we're going to run out of room. So I'm going to say that both doors, well, I guess that doesn't make too much sense. There's enough room for another set of rooms in this direction. Why don't we say that one room faces the south here, one door faces here, and one door faces here. Okay. We have our nice triangular shaped room. Now I want to ask the fate question. Is this room also barren? Is this another boring, non-descriptive room? We're gonna call this very likely. Up until this point, there is nothing in anywhere in this dungeon so far. So far, there's nothing really descript in these rooms. They're really barren. Does this change in this triangular room? So the question I'm going to ask, I'm going to say it's very likely. Is the room mostly barren? 27, yes, the room is indeed mostly barren. Okay, so there's nothing really interesting visually going on. Now we're going to roll on the Dark Fort table, the room table, to see what, if any, kind of active element is in the room. This is a d6, and we get a 5. You face a tough monster. Okay, now we're wearing the invisibility cloak, which is excellent, seeing as we're coming across another tough monster. But which tough monster do we come across? Let me grab my d4. This is a d4 roll, and answer is 1. A Necro Sorcerer. Ooh, there is... This is almost like a boss, I feel like. A Necro Sorcerer is in the room. Now, this person, he has 4 points, does d4 damage. Every other attack is a death ray, dealing d6 damage. Wow. His 8 health, and his loot is silver. After the fight, there's a 1 in 6 chance you are transformed into a maggot. Your adventure ends here. Now, we know that there is a sage being kept captive, a sage that was kidnapped, perchance, and drugged down into this catacomb. And here we come across a sorcerer. So I'm going to make a note, Necro Sorcerer. Necro Sorcerer. And so the question that I have, the room is nondescript, but this sorcerer, what is he doing in the room? So we're wearing the invisibility cloak. So we come into this barren room and there's a sorcerer in the room. What is it that he is currently doing? I want to know. 64. He is information. Okay, so he could be studying, or he could have the sage, and he could be interrogating the sage for information. Now, this is literally one room away from the Dying Knight. Man, it would really suck if he was that close. If he was that close to his goal, and he couldn't reach it, that would be horrible. But this Necro Sorcerer, we get the word information. I'm going to say the most likely thing is that he is studying. Is there, I guess maybe there's some kind of table in the room, stone table, boring, nothing too interesting, that he is sitting at and researching, looking at something. I guess we'll ask Mythic that question. I'm going to say it's very likely that he is, maybe pondering over, poring over some kind of tome, learning something. Yeah, we'll call it likely. Okay, 79, that is a no. Okay, so if it's information and he's not, learning something actively, so let's ask the question, is he interrogating someone? Is he interrogating someone? Okay, I'm going to say, given the other option being a no, that this is now very likely. 38, so that is a yes. This man, the Necro Sorcerer, is indeed interrogating a person. Now, is the person that the sorcerer is interrogating another warrior? Is it another soldier? Okay, let's just roll for it. I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to make this... You know what? Because there were 2 other warriors in the catacombs, I'm going to make this actually very likely that the person being interrogated is a warrior. Okay, 69. Very likely that is a yes. This is a third warrior. Now we can imagine that the man, the Dying Knight that we were able to talk to, he might have thought that the next person was dead. It's strange that he wouldn't tell us if someone was alive still. that could help us, but maybe he presumed this third person to be dead. Maybe this third person is a part of the group. Okay, so we're standing in the room, and this sorcerer, this has to be awful, is interrogating a warrior-type character. Is the scene gruesome? I'm going to say that it is very likely that the man is severely injured as he's being questioned. That is a 20. That is a yes. So this man is also... he's doing quite poorly, being interrogated by the Necro Sorcerer, and we should be able to hear what they're saying. Does their conversation have something to do with the group of warriors? Something along the lines of the sorcerer asking the man, are there more of you? Are there more coming? That kind of thing. Is that really what's going on? The sorcerer is interrogating to learn more about the forces that they might have to contend with. I'm going to say that is very likely. We get a 63. That is a yes. So we've kind of confirmed that this individual that is being interrogated is a member of this maybe group of 3 warriors that descended into the catacomb to rescue Freylo, the Sage of Frightmoon. My next question then is, what does the bloody interrogated man answer? Does he respond to the sorcerer defiantly that there are more coming? You won't be able to get away with this and they'll stop you. Something to that kind of effect. I don't know, 50-50. Let's see if the injured man is so bold. And that is a 49, so just barely. That is a yes. The wounded man, looks defiantly up at the sorcerer and, is almost aggressively barking at him that there are more. Maybe he's laughing even. Laughing at the sorcerer that, yes, there are more of us and they're coming, and that the sorcerer's crimes, all of their crimes here in this catacomb, whatever this cult is, presuming that there is a connection between the cultist and the sorcerer, their crimes will not go unpunished. It seems to me quite likely now that the sorcerer will kill the warrior. I feel like there's probably not further use for the injured man for the sorcerer. However, Kargunt is standing there in the room, maybe just coming in this the triangular, the northern entrance of this room, watching this unfold. He has the cloak of invisibility on. He can take it off and try to save the man. And you know what? I'm going to leave it up to fate, but I'm going to make it nearly certain that Kargunt is going to intervene on behalf of this man. Do I want to influence fate that much? Yeah, yes I do. Okay. Yeah, I think that this is very likely what Kargunt will do. I want to leave a little bit of room for error in case he is afraid, or in case, he's really here for himself. I wouldn't call him, there's not an alignment in Dark Fort, but I wouldn't call him a lawful good. He doesn't feel absolutely compelled to just, respond for the good of others in every situation, but I'm thinking that in this circumstance, he probably will attempt to intervene with the Necro Sorcerer. Now, Kargunt is not aware of the game mechanic that after the fight there's a 1 in 6 chance that he'll be transformed into a maggot. He has no idea. That's not something that Kargunt would be aware of. So we're gonna roll the question with an odds of nearly certain. Does Kargunt intervene to protect the wounded warrior? And we get a 16. A 16 on a nearly certain roll is an exceptional yes. Kargunt roars. I don't know. Kargunt roars. He hurls off the invisibility cloak and without warning swings his sledgehammer at the Necro Sorcerer, engaging in combat. Now, I want a descriptor for what the onset of this combat looks like. What does it look like at the beginning? 84, we get a rough. This combat is rough, so now I need to know, did we hit or not? Okay, so going back to combat, a Necro Sorcerer is worth 4 points. These are points that we are trying to collect to level up. Now, to hit the Necro Sorcerer, I'm going to roll a d6, and I need to roll a 4 or higher to hit. If I roll under a 4, then the Sorcerer hits me. Now, every other attack from the Sorcerer is a death ray, so we're going to say that on the first attack, that is d4 damage, this the Necro Sorcerer has a dagger. He has a dagger, and that is what will do d4 damage on those turns. And then every other attack, he's going to use his death ray. Okay, so we swing the Warhammer at the Sorcerer, and it does not connect. The Sorcerer turns around, he spins around, and he just dodges our Warhammer and jabs his dagger at Kargunt. And it's going to be a hit, and we're going to roll a d4 for his damage. How bad does he hit Kargunt? Kargunt is now at 11 health. Yeah, so this is not looking so great, but let's see what happens. Roll a 2. That is not as bad as it could be. So the dagger sticks roughly into Kargunt's side, and he lets out a grunt of pain as he takes the 2 hit points worth of damage and begins to bleed down his side. Kargunt is not wearing armor. He may have on some kind of, we don't know if he's wearing some kind of like leather garment or something, defensive. All we know is that he has a Warhammer, a scroll of summon daemon, and a cloak of invisibility. So yeah, Kargunt takes the gash in the side, and combat will continue. We'll roll. Well, okay, I want to get another descriptor for our combat. So far it is, rough, brutal, a kind of a sickening stab. 84. Rough again. Double rough. That is... So we intensify the roughness. This is just an exceptionally aggressive duel. Perhaps the Sorcerer is extremely... maybe he's well-versed in brutality. He knows... He's very used to dispatching his foes. Kargunt's going to, steady himself, spin, deal another heavy blow directed right at the midsection of the Necromancer, and this will be another miss. The Necro Sorcerer, I should say, to be more accurate, is able to dodge, and this time he uses his death ray. Now I want to ask about the death ray. Does he have some kind of magical implement that he is holding? Let's go ahead and roll for that. I'm going to say it's very likely that there is a magical implement that he needs to use. We get a 47. Yeah, so he's holding, let's call it a staff, and on the head of his staff he has a symbol of... I'm going to say it's either the moon or it's of some kind of goblin god symbol. Why don't we ask the moon? 50-50. 10. Yes. So the Necro Sorcerer is wielding this staff with a symbol of a crescent moon on the tip of his staff, and as he backs away, just kind of sidestepping the Warhammer's heavy blow, directs his staff directly at Kargunt and deals a death ray, fires a death ray at Kargunt, which will hit. Massive hit. Oh my gosh, we rolled a 6 for damage. The death ray hits Kargunt square in the chest, knocking him prone. We've reduced his health down to 3. Kargunt is going to die. If he gets hit again, the odds are very high that he will not survive the next combat. If we leave combat now, there's a rule for this. You can try to flee a fight, taking D4 damage and leaving the room unexplored. So we're going to take a hit anyway that could kill us. We're going to take a hit anyway. So that makes me think it's almost more worth it to try to hit the sorcerer. So he has 8 health. I say that on the ground, Kargunt, he's been knocked breathless, absolutely searing pain from this death ray that caught him square. Did not kill him, but severely harmed Kargunt. He is, he's bleeding profusely. He is clutching at life. He pulls the scroll of Daemon out from his side. Maybe he breaks the seal of the scroll and he reads the words off the page, and this creature from the void, let's say, materializes. Maybe the words that he speaks vibrates the air and causes this small tear, the small rift, and this creature steps through at his call. Let's have a description of the creature that steps through. What does this daemon look like? 73. It is perfect. Okay, so maybe this is a creature of light. I don't know. Okay, perfect. We're gonna give let's say one more thing. A daemon and a light doesn't typically go together. Colorful. We have this exotic looking creature, maybe with all kinds of eyes and colors. Maybe it's shimmering. Perfect maybe in the sense that makes me think that it is just giving off a large amount of light. Enters into the combat, and I think the way that I want this to work is to give both Kargunt and the daemon a chance to hit. So the daemon's going to help me for D4 fights. Now that we've summoned the daemon, I'm going to remove the word scroll. This colorful, eyeball-filled creature, perfection, is now in the room. It's a huge scene. Every eye is turned to watch this thing as it enters combat. It's going to help us for D4 fights. So let's roll that now. We get a 2. So we'll have 2 fights with our daemon. We have 1 more chance at using the Cloak of Invisibility, which we could... I don't know that we're supposed to be able to use this mid-fight to leave. I don't think that's fair. But the daemon should be able to help us with this fight. We'll count this as one of his 2 fights that he's willing to help us with. And he's going to do D4 damage if he hits. So I'm going to have... Or should I have the daemon hit if Kargunt hits and then they both deal damage? That seems almost like the more fair thing to do. I think that's more in line with the game mechanics itself. It's almost like the daemon is just a damage buff for when you hit. Okay, so Kargunt, stands. And at least we know that the Necrosorcerer, it's going to take a round for him to kind of regain his ability to fire his death ray again. So we have 1 round, a chance to... We really need to kill this guy now. If we could somehow hit for 8 in 1 round, that would be excellent. Who knows what's going to happen? This may be the end of Kargunt. I'm going to go ahead and roll this d6, and if I roll a 4 or higher, then both Kargunt and the daemon, the shining bright demon hit. If not, then the cultist is going to get a chance to kill Kargunt. It's up to fate. We roll a 1. The Necro Sorcerer. So okay, let's describe this. Kargunt is bleeding profusely. He's severely injured, but he stands back up, the daemon at his side, and together they charge the Necro Sorcerer, who sidesteps and buries the hilt of his dagger into Kargunt. Is it enough to put him away? That is a 2. It is not enough. Kargunt takes the dagger to the hilt in his body, reducing him to 1 hit point left. Kargunt is down to 1 HP. This is truly a live or die moment. The next round, if the Necro Sorcerer hits again, then Kargunt is unavoidably dead. If we flee combat, he's going to roll a d4 and kill us. So there's no choice. We are directly up against... Kargunt is directly up against the Necro Sorcerer. He's readying his staff, trying to angle it at us. To, secure the kill with another blast of the Death Ray. And Kargunt is going to push away, yanking the dagger out of his body. He's... I've said this already, but he is bleeding out right now, and he has one more swing that he can make at the sorcerer. We roll a 6. It's a hit. We hit the Necro Sorcerer. Okay, so Kargunt is not dead yet. Okay, now he still is very likely going to die. Make no mistake, Kargunt will probably die in this episode. But it's not yet. Okay, so Kargunt swings, he levels a blow, and connects with the Necro Sorcerer. Now, how much damage does he do? Let's hope for a high roll. 2. Okay, so he hits, maybe he hits in the hip of the Necromancer, jolting him, the Necro Sorcerer, jolting him to the side, maybe cracking a little bit of a bone, but it's not a death-dealing blow. The Necro Sorcerer has been reduced down to 6 health, and Kargunt is standing with 1 health. Okay, now the daemon, when he connects, the daemon is able to... Let's see, does the daemon fire a beam of light or a beam of just colorful energy at the Necromancer? I'm going to roll for that description to see if that sounds accurate. We'll make it 50-50. 78, that is a no. Rather, the daemon charges. It bolts like an arc through the air. It itself melee strikes directly into the Necro Sorcerer. So this thing is hovering, and it is like zipping around the room, like taking aim at the Sorcerer and, darting, lunging directly at him, trying to deal damage. Maybe it has some kind of, you can't really see it. Maybe there's a talon that's, as it's shimmering, fading in and out of visibility. But whatever the case, it's going to hit the Necromancer, and it's going to roll d4 for damage, and we're just going to hope for the highest number we can roll. That is a 2. Okay, so it hits for a 2. We have, in one round, reduced the Necro Sorcerer down to half health. He is now at 4, so the daemon connects with the Sorcerer, and maybe you see this big swipe of talons across the chest of the Sorcerer. He's very obviously hurt, but he is still able to continue fighting. Now we move on to a new round of combat, and once again, there is little to no point. There really is no point for us to flee, because if we flee, our opponent will get a d4 hit in, and we will die. Kargunt is sitting at 1 health. He cannot take another hit. If we are able to connect, we have 2 different sources of damage. We get to roll a d6 and a d4. We could win this combat. if we hit. It all comes down to a roll of a d6. Yet again, if we can roll a 4, 5, or 6, we have a 50% chance of living. And then if we can live, we have an okay chance of killing the sorcerer. All right, let's leave it up to fate. A dice roll, we're looking for a 4, 5, or a 6. And we roll a 6 again for the hit. I cannot believe. I mean, you saw, yeah, you can see this right here. I cannot believe the good luck that Kargunt just had. Oh my. Okay, now we need to roll, like, let's say at least a 2. I'm hoping for at least a 3. But we could. Okay, so let's describe this. I need a description before we roll for damage. What does this look like? So we just had Kargunt rips himself off the dagger, levels a blow at the sorcerer's side, kind of nicks him in the hip, deals some damage. The daemon comes across and swipes at the chest, and Kargunt swings, brings it around from downtown. Hit connects with another swing. Let's describe it. Let's get a description meaning table for the hit. That is a 64 natural. It's just, the swing, it just feels natural, like a baseball bat. It comes around and it just connects with the sorcerer, and it will deal 3 damage. 3 damage, and I am so excited. The hammer strikes his rib cage, crushing it, reducing the sorcerer's health down to 1 HP. He falls to the ground. He's kind of clutching his side, and the daemon zeroes in. Ready, aim, fire. It doesn't matter what we roll. 1. The daemon, his strike pins his talons pin the sorcerer to the ground. He is stuck to the floor, and the light fades from his eyes, and the sorcerer is dead. And I cannot believe that that actually happened. Wow, Kargunt survived. I felt bold heading into this combat. I'm going to mark that we've used the daemon 1 time. I felt extraordinarily bold heading into this combat. I thought that we were going to do just fine with 11 health. But the Necrosorcerer brought us to within an inch of our life, and somehow we survived. So Kargunt is now standing in the triangle-shaped room. He has just killed, or more accurately, the daemon just put the finishing blow into this Necrosorcerer. The sorcerer is dead, but there is still a wounded warrior, a soldier of some kind, laying on the ground, dying in the room. And this is going to be a role-playing opportunity for us when we come back. I think this is a perfectly exciting moment to end the session. This round was definitely a blast. In the next session, we're going to have to talk to this guy and see what kind of information we can get from him. We need to try to stabilize him if we're able to, and then we need to make a decision about how to approach the dungeon. We could move forward. We could try to backtrack and leave, and maybe come back, in better shape. I'm not exactly sure, but whatever the case, we will tackle those challenges in the next session. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to let me know you want to see more solo role-playing content. I'll see you in the next episode. So until we meet again, fight on.